This is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for Impulsive!
Hey, I think we should open the episode with that. I think I'm going to retire Impulsive.
But that said, I am starting a new show this year, so you're all hired immediately. Caleb, you're hired. Dylan, you're on the show. I'm here to tell you today. Yep, you're host.
This is your big break, dude.
Host.
Unbelievable. Well, this show's over. This is the last episode. Thank you for watching it. This is Impulsive, the number one podcast in the world. Thank you guys for listening, watching, viewing, and subscribing. If you're not subscribed, hit that button for us. Yeah, man, I'm over it. I don't want to do this anymore.
You go through peaks and valleys, you know. It's like nooks and crannies, like the English muffins. You're not, every day's not a good day.
Well, it's not just me. Our co-host didn't even show up. Like, the interest is dying.
Yeah.
We can't even get the people we pay to show up, who own a percentage of the show, to show up.
I mean, the interest is dying, but
we just got a whole bunch of new brand deals. Oh, all right. Well, I love this show.
Great.
This show's awesome.
I could do this show for the rest of my life.
Literally, probably
dude.
will be.
Holy shit.
I'm joking, guys. We'll never leave, ever. We'll be entertaining you or making you pissed off.
Or making you bleed.
Or making you bleed every single week. What are you doing moving a chair, Bruce Buffer? Look at Bruce Buffer. Look at him. Caleb, look at him. Caleb,
if you don't look at Bruce Buffer.
why are you moving the chair?
So what? So what? George is flying in. Oh, he's here. George.
No. He's on his way.
Okay.
He's coming to the podcast. He had a flight get rerouted. When it rains, even just a little bit in LA, everyone panics. Flights get rerouted, and no one knows what to do, and they start tweeting.
You see any good tweets?
No, I try to stay off Twitter.
Yeah, not the best place, huh?
In general, absolutely not.
It really is it? I would say it might potentially be the most toxic platform.
Yeah, no shit. It's dark.
What is the deal? I thought like Elon was going to come save it.
I'll tell you what the deal is.
Yeah.
When you give every fucking idiot on this planet a voice and they can collectively gather themselves together as a group of idiots, you have Twitter.
I think you're missing the point. I think that happens on every platform. I think that happens on
Instagram,
TikTok.
Where's the retweets on Instagram?
Nah.
Where's the retalks on TikTok?
The difference is you could share on Instagram.
Can't
the difference is on Twitter.
You can't re-reel.
It's not the people that are the problem. It's the anime PFPs. You know, they're not actual humans.
Oh, they're anonymous.
Yes, you know what
they're
I'm saying?
bots.
Yeah. That's the issue.
Nah. That place sucks. But shout out Elon. You're doing great.
I don't know.
All right.
That's true either.
Our guest today, I'm going to try to do this like him. Our guest today is the voice of the UFC and even a second-degree black belt himself.
Put your back
I
into
can't
it,
do
bro.
it.
What is that?
He's a second-degree black belt, having trained with none other than Chuck Norris and, of course, the brother of famous announcer Michael Buffer, but he didn't always know that. Here to tell us about that and more, it's time for Bruce Buffer! I tried.
Welcome to the show, brother. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show, Buffer.
Hey. Yeah, normally we have a third right there. He'll be on his way here. Yeah, he's just a little late. He'll be here.
Flight problems.
Yep.
You should give him shit about it when he comes in.
You should.
Actually, you know what? Maybe don't give him shit about it when he comes in.
Sometimes when our guests bully George,
especially in this room,
it's not received too well. This is the same room that George walked out of the Bobby Lee podcast. There's some trauma that's happened in this setting. Anyways, how are you, Bruce?
I'm good. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Number one, yeah.
Absolutely.
You too, brother.
Absolutely. 2023 is off to a shit start. But that's all right. How's it for you, huh? You feeling energized, ready to start the year?
I'm energized. I was out Saturday in Phoenix announcing the Fiesta Bowl.
Nice.
And one of the greatest college football games I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they had 44 points scored in the fourth quarter, setting a record for college football. It was like 94 points total, almost 100 points in the game. And it was right down to the last minute. It was awesome. It was amazing.
Oh, my goodness.
So I got to go out on the field in the beginning, announce halftime. And, college football, I've done pro games because I can announce the Raider games.
Yeah.
There's definitely a difference in the tempo.
No way.
Yeah,
Is it more exciting in college?
It's really tremendously exciting in both.
Okay.
But that young blood comes out. You
Yeah.
can just feel it, just
Yeah.
the emotion and everything. It's pretty wild.
You a fan of any college football team specifically?
You know what? Not really anybody specific. I mean, I'm an old Philadelphia boy, so Penn State. I always like seeing USC, but it's like announcing fighters. I'm an equal opportunity announcer, so whoever does the best job, may the best team, the best man, best woman.
Are you a Birds fan?
Yes.
Being from Philly,
Big time.
Me too. Believe it or not.
Big time.
So I'm
Eagles
from-
forever.
Yeah.
Sorry, Raiders, but they know that already too. Eagles forever.
They're playing great this year. I don't know what will happen between now and the time this goes out, but like they've been playing great. Jalen Hurts being out was a little problematic.
What a name. Hurts and he's hurt. But, it's like his shoulder. I mean, they've lost 2 games. They got to get home field advantage coming this Sunday. So do you put him in? Do you leave him out?
No, he has to play.
He's got to play.
What's the backup dude's name? Mention or whatever.
Yeah.
He's just not. He's not it. Like we need Hurts.
Well, there's the it factor, and Hurts has it. Like
for
Logan's
sure.
got it, Hurts got it.
Oh,
I don't even know if Logan really has
I don't
it.
think so.
His brother.
That guy's good and undefeated.
Oh, your brother, Jake?
Yep, the opposite of me, just defeated.
Well, you know what? Defeated or not, everybody's a winner, whether you lose or win. I mean, if it's a great event, you win.
Yeah. I'm
like
gonna keep
that.
saying that
Yeah, I
to
like
myself.
that. That's nice.
Bruce, listen. For those of you who don't know Bruce, you know Bruce. You are the voice of the UFC, and I'm actually going to take that even a step further and say you're the life of the UFC.
Oh,
Dude,
thank you.
when I first met you at Dan Bilzerian's party, when I first met you there, I was so excited because I've been a UFC fan my whole life. That's my sport. I love combat sports.
Right.
And I see how much effort and how much heart you put into your job.
Thank you.
You get me fired up. I've been saying it for years. I think you're probably like one of the hardest working people in the business.
I think I'm the only announcer that loses maybe 3 or 4 pounds of water weight by the end of the night.
Seriously,
I'm
though.
throwing it in. I've got to do it. When I started out, everybody wanted to be like my legendary brother, the greatest announcer of all time, Michael Buffer. Okay, and let's just put it on the table as that. And when I started out, I would stay still and I'd be reading the cards and working on my voice. And no offense to the announcers out there, including my brother, but it was boring to me. I had this tiger in here that just needed to get released. And then I started doing other events where I used to bang a lot. I definitely had my share of the fighting world. And I know what these fighters go through and stuff. So I wanted to introduce them the way I would want to be introduced. And it just evolved like an evolutionary process to where either they're getting in my face or I'm getting in their face, or they want a fist bump. I never instigate the fist bump. That's them coming at me.
Yep.
But it's such an amazing compliment of respect that they allow me in their space, right? Because they could easily just go, boop, get out of here, right? But it just evolved over time. And I always said it's not what I say, it's how I say it. So I put every bit of passion, emotion. I give them everything to enhance that moment for them because they're about to put their blood, sweat, and tears on the line in their lives, right? I've done that show I've blown my ACL the night before. I had to do 3 UFCs in a row, 3 days in a row. The doctor said, stay in bed for a week. No, I went in there and did it on one leg. I've blown out back, 103-degree temp. What doesn't matter. I can always get my job done. They're fighting. Okay. There's a big difference. Like Dana White said, you'd have to shoot me to keep me out of the octagon.
No way.
Has anybody ever tried that before?
They tried to keep me out. They haven't tried to shoot me yet because I shoot back. So it's okay.
You are fiery. You're fiery, dude. That's what I love about you. And when I met you, I was so excited, and I'm proud to say then after having some dinners with you, we exchanged numbers and stuff. You are just as cool, if not much fucking cooler as I thought you'd be in my head.
Wow.
You're one of those people that when people meet you, they're blessed with more than their image that they had of you.
Wow, Logan. You make that door a little wider, my head's going to be a little big here.
No, you're dope. I mean, the story about your brother, I want to get into it a little bit. I know you told it 1,000 times, but
thank you very much for your words. It means a lot to me. I mean, I met you. I knew about you before. I just have to interrupt for a second. And you're a gentleman. You're cool. We get along. I can call ourselves friends. And that's, I love it. We text each other once in a while. I'm in your corner all the time. I love everything that you do, and I think you do it incredibly well.
Thank you, man. I'm just.
Should I leave? Do you guys want to
No,
go to like a back room or something like that? What's good?
Well,
dude?
we've had a little bit of a relationship over the
I know.
years.
I'm just kidding.
And
I've had dinner with you guys. You guys have a ton of fun together. It's awesome to see. I mean, you guys are in a similar space. Both have love for the fight game, and there's a lot of overlap there.
There's the passion shows. I mean, we both wear it on our sleeve for what we do.
For sure.
I mean, I'll be the first one to cash the paycheck at the bank on a Monday morning, but I'm not always about the paycheck.
Right.
I mean, I was when we had to be, you know? But it's about what I'm doing. It's the experience. I can tell you so many different experiences I've had in and out of the octagon over the 28 years I've been doing this, which will be 27 years in February.
That would actually be awesome if you could. Is there one that sticks out to you more than any other moment? If you look at your entire reign of announcing in that octagon, like one that really sticks out to you, a moment that you felt in your heart was like the moment for you?
Probably when I blew my ACL in front of 55,000 people in Toronto.
He can relate. He can relate to that.
Yeah, that kind of like was an experience. I didn't fall, like, you know, God bless the football players, but at least I didn't fall. I still stayed up. But no, you know what? All kidding aside, it's like asking me what the greatest fight is. Who's the greatest fighter? It's impossible.
Superlative.
I can only give you examples of great fights and great fighters.
Yeah.
The moment I think I've seen the greatest fight, 2 months later, I'm seeing the greatest fight.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the beauty of our job. I mean, we as participants are in an experience where we get excited because I'm a fan first and an announcer second. Period.
I think you have to be. For
You
what
have
do.
to be.
Yeah.
You have to be. But I've had so many other experiences in so many different sports. You know, whether it's watching Michael Jordan sick as a dog before the flu game, scoring 6 points, having my brother announce it as his manager. I'm Michael's manager. Going out and watching him come out in the second half and scoring over 40 points and winning the NBA championship and being on the court with them as they're celebrating and it's all coming down. And, you know, these are moments you just can't forget. You know, it's unbelievable.
Did a lot of them ever like bleed into each other to a point where like at some point in your life where you had to stop for a second and pause and just like really recollect and take in the fact that you just witnessed 20 plus years of carnage and awesomeness?
That's one of the reasons why I wrote my book almost 10 years ago, because as you go on, and you'll find this out too, being as young as you are, I'm 65, you know, I've been around a long time, and I wrote the book to remember what I've forgotten, you know, and that's what was so much fun about putting my heart on the table and writing my book, my biography or autobiography, whatever you want to call it. It's time because it allowed me to relive those moments, you know.
I think that's so important. I'm so glad you did that because kind of reiterating what he said, there has to be a point where you're just numb to seeing the most epic moments in sports history back to back to back to back to back. And in a way, there's two of you. You have, your brother, Michael. So you guys get to feed off each other. I know that feeling. I have a brother of my own, and you guys get to feed off each other and amplify each other. And so, like, documenting that has been amazing. If I could read, I'd read your book, Bruce.
Is there an audiobook?
No, and it's trying to. Don't you think I would have an audiobook?
Listen,
yeah, it's like what's that all about?
You need to do your own audiobook. So I wrote a book. I did the audio for it as well. It will take you 20 hours plus in the studio to do it, but it'll be a full new boost of sales, and it will mean a lot to
you. Got a connection to make it happen?
Absolutely.
I'm giving you the job and the commission.
Got you, bro.
Go ahead. Go
Got you. Easy.
We are proud to announce Raycon is back as a partner on this show. This is the time of the year everyone's talking about making big changes, which is all well and good, but most of the time pretty unrealistic. Mike already broke his 75 hard. Dang. But sometimes the smallest changes can make the biggest impact. In the same way, you don't have to break the bank to make a big deal purchase like the Raycons here. Raycon is premium audio at the perfect price point, so you can build great habits without breaking the bank. Whether you're looking for a pair of everyday earbuds, low latency gaming headphones, or a speaker with a battery that will last all night at your next party, Raycon has got you covered. And yep, Raycon start at half the price of other premium audio brands, and Raycon is priced so right you can get a pair and a spare and still pay less than you would with some of the other guys. Even if you know you'll love your Raycons as much as I do, Raycons want to make sure you'll feel great about the purchase. So they offer buy now, pay later options. Every purchase has an easy and free return guarantee. And here's some of my favorite qualities of Raycon. Custom gel tips for the perfect, most comfortable in-ear fit so they don't fall out at the gym. Crystal clear quality, water and sweat resistance. Ready to buy something with a big impact? Go to buyraycon.com/Logan today to get 15% off your Raycon order. That is buyraycon.com/Logan to score 15% off. Back to the program.
I think documenting just for any human being, and this is just like an overall note, is super important. Like, so much stuff happens in one's life. It's part of the reason I love filming so much and have my whole life is, you know, you don't get those moments back, and you will forget them. The human brain is just like a memory card. It has a capacity.
Absolutely.
And you're going to hit that gigabyte capacity one day and then start missing and losing moments that are really important to you, but you just forgot because you can't remember that much.
You know, I've been a meditator since I was in my 20s and stuff, and you know, I'll sit back and And all of a sudden, these things, these thoughts, these experiences will come into my head, whether it's in professional or my private life. And it's like, wow, really? Oh my God, I forgot about that, you know?
Oh, that's awesome. I've wanted to get into it myself, but I've hit like those initial guardrails or like obstacles in trying to actually get to a point where I'm in that state. How long did it take you before you got to a point where you actually could experience like some sort of positive from it?
It was relatively easy for me at first because I went to what they call an ashram and I studied under somebody. And,
Nice.
And then they gave me my mantra, which I've never told anybody what my mantra is. You know, the word you repeat to yourself.
Awesome. Well, exclusive right here on Impulsive today. The mantra is,
Can't tell you.
damn it.
Yeah,
Can't tell you.
Took a
I thought
shot
for
at
sure
it.
he was going to say
I mean, he had a long line of people and he might have told every one of us the same word. It doesn't matter. It's my mantra.
Yeah, don't ever tell
I
anybody.
don't want to violate that. I've never told anybody.
And do you do that every day? Do you wake up in the morning and do it?
It depends on what I feel. It's a great stress relief if you're worn out or tired. You know, both of us are on the road
For
doing
sure.
what we do. A good 30 minutes of meditation is like taking a 2-hour nap if you do it right.
Speaking of 2-hour nap, George Janko,
George,
everybody.
how are you?
My pleasure. I'm so sorry for being late. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
It was
You're
Southwest. Okay.
It's not your fault, Georgie.
At all on this one.
Airline
Yeah.
issues.
Okay. I was sweating about it because I have the worst problems with
Airlines.
planes.
It's all right. Your cool beer makes up for it. It's all
Thank
good.
you.
I feel kind of shaven today.
Yeah.
You ever have
you
one?
look great for 65.
Thank you.
You're 65.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still got my six pack.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about that because you just mentioned meditating. I know you've been mindful about meditation and protecting your mental fortitude, but physically as well. You're super active.
Yes.
You have to be.
Have to be.
Is it because of how intense you're going when you do your job?
No, well, you know, it's that, but I mean, I've always trained. I grew up the Point Break lifestyle. We trained martial arts, we surfed, we fought, it's like, that was the whole thing. I never even lifted weights until my 20s. To me, it was 100, 200 push-ups a day, maybe some arm curls and surfing, and, other things I like to do, whether it was football. I was a water polo player. I was a swimmer, on the swim team. I graduated Santa Monica High. So I was always into being athletic and I knew the importance of it. So I maintained it. To me, it's 75% what you eat and 25% how you train, right? And we all throw it off. We all fall off the wagon on the food wagon, but that's okay. That's life. You got to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
But I used to train to compete. Now I train to get older and to travel. Last thing I want to be is an 80-year-old man where I can't have a quality of life doing what I want to do. The way I move around the octagon now, I'm still moving around the same way I moved around 25 years ago. And 10 years from now, when I'm 75, I guarantee you, barring any situation, then I'm going to be the same way. And the moment that my passion wanes or I can't physically do what I want to do, then it's time to say, hey, I'm done.
And are you willing to be honest with yourself should that moment happen?
Absolutely.
Really?
I've told myself that I have to be. I have a number of areas like you that we make our revenue out of, but my passion, wearing the UFC on my chest, like a logo of pride, I never want to give that up.
Be honest with me. Has it ever waned for a second? Have you ever had a lull where you felt stagnant in what you were doing
In the UFC or in my life?
in UFC?
The stagnant probably happened before the Fertittas and Dana White bought it. I mean, I realized that we could almost be out of business. We went from having packed houses of 5,000, 10,000 or more people, being the top 10 fastest growing pay-per-view on DirecTV and everything, to Senator McCain calling us human cockfighting and all, and we were taken off the air and kept alive by DirecTV and kept alive, thank God, by the internet and the fans on the internet. And then I remember doing an event in Louisiana, and there was only 1,500 people in the audience, and Kevin Randleman was the main event. If you remember Kevin Randleman, who died a number of years ago, great wrestler. And so he was coming out and he slipped on a pole in the back and fell and knocked himself out, right? So we couldn't have a main event. So I'm getting ready to go, and they go, Buff, you got to tell him there's no main event. Why?
Yeah.
Kevin Randleman's knocked out. He can't come out. Tell him. Told him it's like bottle and can flying time. I realized we're at the lowest point ever. And it just seemed bleak. I thought, I was always into it, always ready to do it, but I think the machine was about to fall, right? Then I get a call from the owner, Robert Meyerowitz at the time, and he says, Bruce, I've got some good news and some bad news. And he said, well, the bad news is I sold the UFC. The good news is I sold it to Dana White and the Fertitta brothers, and they want to keep you and Big John McCarthy. And I said, oh, I'm really sad to see you go, but... And then I was at a boxing event because I used to do undercards and boxing on HBO. When as my brother's manager, I did them because I enjoyed doing it, but I was also taking names and taking numbers and making deals, on the side.
Networking.
That's where you got networking.
For sure.
So they took us to a really nice restaurant and they put out Opus One wine on the table, and I'm like, whoa, I like this. I like their style, and I realized the passion in the Fertitta brothers and the passion in Dana White, and I thought, now my whole energy, my whole passion was just relit. So yes, if I was stagnant, it was back then. Since then, we're working under Dana White and the whole UFC machine has been nothing but a great rocket ship, just constantly going uphill, and I've got a first-class seat. How can you not love that?
Yeah, it's been a crazy journey.
The travel gets to me once in a while.
Oh, is that one of the things that does it? I can imagine. We travel a lot. It's hard. But before you bounce into the Dana White era, because I'm sure we won't talk a lot about it, but just before you get that phone call about the purchase and you're in these like dark days, Louisiana, 1500s, people knocking themselves out on poles, is there something you were doing, a message you were delivering to yourself, something you were doing to keep your head in the game, to keep showing up every night? For the people watching this that might be in a dark place in their job, in their profession, in their career, is there something that you were doing to keep you in the game?
Here's my attitude. The show is not about me. It's about the fighters, okay? And my attitude is that every night I walk out, even 3 weeks ago, next week at the Apex, 2 weeks from now in Rio de Janeiro, it's my very first night. I treat every night like my very first night. I have to prove to myself, the powers that be, the fans, the fighters, that I deserve this job. You will never hear me talk about my laurels. Oh, I did this. I did a 360, 10 years ago and, did this. I'm not that kind of guy, right? I'm only as good as today. And I've got to prove it to myself every day. And that's where its time comes from. I used to wake up in the morning, just shave and go, it's time, to be the best I can be today. I'm a very self-motivated individual, which you have to be as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because you don't always have the people around you pushing you. You've got to push yourself. And not everybody's capable of that.
What made you have that mindset? Were you like at a dark place in your life and then you're like, yo, I got to hype myself up?
No, I've been a motivator. I love doing motivational speeches. I teach branding and marketing to companies. Before COVID, I would do appearances like that. I have kind of a 3-foot theory. I like everybody around me to be happy, prosperous, and healthy. And I know it'll all come back to me, right? So I just have simple rules in my life that I've kept and maintained my entire life.
Where did you find these rules? Like, did you just come up with them, or was somebody that you looked up to taught you these, or
I had an amazing father. I had an amazing mom who's still with me, thank God. And my dad, great guy. He'd walk in the room. Either the girls wanted to meet him, the guys wanted to meet him, or they wanted to fight him, or whatever. He just had this amazing charisma. He was a Marine drill instructor, served in World War II in Korea. Even 5 years old, walking in the room, I go, "Hi, Dad." He goes, "Son, project your voice, shoulders back, chest out. Let them know you're in the room." Right?
Is that where you got it from?
That's where I got a lot of it from. Michael will tell you that our father has the best pipes of all of us.
No way.
Yeah. Never graduated high school, self-taught, ran Fortune 500 companies. We moved from Philadelphia to Malibu when I was like 14, going on 15, which was like culture shock going out there. I never saw blonde girls running out of the beach in Atlantic City like up there. Never saw the waves. I saw waves when I was in Biarritz, France, when he took me to Europe. They took me to Europe when I was 11, and I said, I'm going to be a surfer someday. I've got to do the sport. So immediately I go out, I'm in Malibu, my hormones are flying, and all I'm thinking about is learning how to surf, and maybe someday I'll lose my virginity. So everything, did.
Did you do
natural
both?
course.
Did you do both of those?
Learned how to surf first. I became Baywatch, and kind of everything followed.
The Michael story is fascinating.
It's crazy.
You and your brother have probably the best commentating voice in sports.
Thank you.
And
Correction. Announcing voice.
Announcing
Yes.
voice. Excuse me. And you didn't know that he was your brother until you were an adult,
I was 29 years old.
and you found out that this guy who's doing kind of the same thing as you, has interests similar to you, was your brother.
I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing anything.
He,
I'll give you a brief history. Getting back to my father being the entrepreneur that he became, he was a writer and the whole bit. I learned my entrepreneur spirit and my warrior spirit initially came from my dad. He probably introduced me to more situations in life, got me in more fights in life than any best friend I ever had. Just old breed, right? They don't make them like that anymore.
Right.
So he had me watching boxing, like almost fresh out of the womb, teaching me fighting before I went to school, saying, you're going to get stood up. They're going to try and steal your lunch money. This is what you do. And I did it and it worked. And it's like, I'll always listen to everything my dad tells me. So I would when we went broke as a family living in Malibu. We weren't rich. We moved out there. We were middle class. We lived in Trancas Canyon. All the celebrities and stars lived at the beach. Steve McQueen was a good friend of mine for the last 6 years of his life. I used to surf every day in front of his house. He truly was Mr. Cool. His son's still one of my best friends. Had a great growing up out there. But when we went broke, when he quit the Fortune 500 job, making the good money to do what he loved, which is passion. He taught me how you got to roll the dice, and sometimes you got to say, what the you know what, and go for it. So he had his first book published within a year, right? And we would go, he was a big collector of militaria, which I'm a big collector of sports memorabilia, movie memorabilia, and antique weapons and artifacts.
Sick.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, you got to come on my house.
Now you're talking my language.
Okay, then we got it. I know your language because I'm a big card collector.
Love collecting.
Yeah, I hope we get into a little bit of that on the show.
Yeah.
So we would do these shows and I would learn to cut my teeth, talking to people and selling. I mean, I was selling German Lugers over a table for $4,000 to $5,000 when I was 14 years old.
A lot of World War II stuff. Is that?
A lot, all World War II and behind.
Okay, got it.
My modern weapons are purely for protection. I'm into the historical stuff, and it's some of the most valuable and greatest investments you can possibly make.
You got like a Panzer tank or something like that.
If I had room for it, I'd have one. So yeah. But anyway, I learned how to cut my teeth there, and even I noticed there was like a jewelry booth where the guy was making at the time turquoise and Heishi and coral necklaces and whatever. And I'll tell you a quick story. You don't mind if I get a little wordy? I'm sorry.
No, this is your podcast.
We come. Thank you. We come from. You got to learn a lot from your parents. I mean, we're all samples of how we grow up. And I remember that one time I went to my mom and I said, "Mom, can I borrow $75? My friends and I want to go to Mammoth. I need $75 for my gas and the lift tickets and whatever." And she said, "Son, I don't have it." And then she came back to me the next day and handed me $75 in cash. And she said, "Don't tell your dad," right? My mom's not like that, right? I go, I have a good time being a young buck. Come back 2 weeks later, I wake up, it's midnight. I hear them talking in the living room. And they're talking about how they can't pay the rent that month. It's $575 in Malibu, and they can't pay the rent, right? And I went back to my room and I just started crying to myself. And I thought, my mom just begged, borrowed, and steal to give me $75 and they can't pay the rent? I will never, ever ask my parents for anything else. I will take care of my parents, right? And I started a jewelry business. When I learned from this guy at the gun shows. He taught me how to make necklaces and everything. And I thought, what a great way to meet girls in high school, number one. And then I thought, oh, good way to make money.
You love the girls.
And this is like 1974. And think about this, guys. I'm clearing like $800 a month in 1974 in high school.
It's a lot of money.
That's a ton.
And
You're rich.
There's a statute of limitations. I can tell you another story real quick.
Wait, did you get laid making that much money back then? Were you getting laid?
I think that those talk don't do and those do don't talk. So let's just leave it at that.
Nice.
So there was one teacher, and it was a gym teacher because I was the water polo player and the swimmer, and I was starting the team. I was CAF finals. I was really into the whole thing. But then they wanted me to come in at like 5 a.m. and swim 2 miles before school every day. And I thought, screw that. It's a half hour to get from Malibu to Santa Monica High. I'm just going to relax. I want to get home and go surfing. That's going to be my workout. So they had gym class, and with respect to all the guys in gym, they're playing badminton and stuff. That wasn't my thing. I would go across the street and have breakfast, right? So later on in the semester, I'm told that I'm failing gym by the football coach who was the gym teacher. I can't mention his name, statute of limitations. So I said, I went home, I made the most amazing necklace because I met his wife at one point. And I went in to talk to him. I said, you got to pass me. I need to at least get a C. You know me. You know I'm okay in gym. You know I can run around the block. I made this for your wife. That was when I knew my ability to negotiate a deal was starting. I swear to God, guys, he passed me, right? I'll tell you now, but I won't tell you his name.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think you needed the statute of limitations to protect you on that. I don't know if there's a law against that.
I didn't want to get him in any trouble.
Just imagine he's watching right now. He's like,
he starts running.
So with that and all that, then I just learned how to do business. And when I graduated college, when I went into college after high school, I saw a card on the job board. It said earned $250 to $450 a week selling over the telephone, right? And I think all of us have had some experience in telemarketing when we were kids, right? So I went in, it was office supplies, paper and toner. I got the job, had to be there at 5 a.m, work away. I became the top salesman within 2 weeks, making great money. I saw the sales manager with his feet on the desk, making a couple thousand a week, again, back in 1976, 75. And it's like, think about that kind of money back then. And I thought, I want his job. I had his job within 2 months. Huh. And then at 19, I left to start my own company because I thought, they're driving up in their Porsches and their Ferraris, but I'm the one making all the sales. This is easy. right? So I opened up my own company. 70% of the sales force left with me because I was such a closer and a motivator making the money. I wound up getting sued for $1 million when I was 18 years old.
Whoa.
It was the worst summer of my life.
For taking the employees and the business from that other.
That, and I learned that one of my partners that worked there took some leads, the Glengarry, Glen Ross leads, took some leads for sales, which gave them some motivation. So their whole reason for the lawsuit was to get me back, right? So I negotiated again. I closed my company. I went back to work, had them pay me more money, had to make me a partner in the company. All the salespeople came back. So it all worked out.
Sure.
Nice.
I was the wolf of LA, but I didn't hurt people or steal from people. I was just very, telemarketing was a thing. And I owned a number of telemarketing companies, import-export businesses, security company, putting in, if you go down to Santa Monica on Main Street, I probably at that time, some 35 years ago, put every alarm system, camera system in every one of the establishments along Main Street.
You've been hustling.
Yeah, you got the.
I've been an entrepreneur my whole life.
Yeah.
I didn't graduate college. I went to college that I'm making the money in telemarketing, and I thought, okay, I'm a year in. Let me stop for 2 years. Let me see if I can cut my teeth and make my living in the street, streetwise. And college is great. I'm not telling anybody not to go to college, but it just worked for me. And here's the trail of adventure until I met my brother when I was 29, and then the fork in the road happened. And then I truly found what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So what happened? Because it sounds like you had made a pretty good life for yourself. You were successful.
Yeah, I had a beach house on the Marina Peninsula. I was living the life of Charlie Sheen and 2.5 Men minus the alcoholism, and I was having a great time.
And then you meet Michael Buffer, who you found out was your brother.
We're watching TV. Mike Tyson brought boxing back as the water cooler conversation on a Monday, the way the UFC is today, and the 1 to 5 amazing boxing events that happen a year. I love boxing. I don't compare the two. It's apples and oranges. It's tennis and badminton. It's to respect both, as I respect professional wrestling. So watching, and out comes this debonair, handsome guy. I mean, nobody looked like Michael Buffer back then. The guy's great looking, dressed like James Bond, doing his thing, and I'm like, wow, what a job! And then they put his name on the screen. And back when I was in telemarketing, I saw every phone book in the country. And as a habit, you look in the white pages to see the last name Buffer. I never saw my last name in any phone book in the United States, right? Michael Buffer. What's up, right? So now, without saying to my dad or anything, I started calling Bob Arum's offices, Don King's offices, and trying to find out where he grew up and who is this guy. And it turned out he grew up in New Jersey, like very close near where I grew up in Philadelphia, and on and on and on. And people started stopping me in the street as he got more popular as the boxers. As he is today. And they say, is that your brother? The guy Michael Buffer goes, let's get ready to rumble. I go, no, my brother's Brian. My brother's my older brother, 2 years older. And, but it kept happening and happening. So then my dad and I are driving up north to San Francisco, and I'm telling him what's going on. And I said, Dad, do you have any idea who this guy is? And this is what I got. I think that's your brother.
No way.
He goes, son, I never told you, I've been married to your mom, for 35 years, whatever it was at the time. And, but I never told you, your mom never told you, but when World War II, when I went over to do my part, overseas as a Marine when I was 20, I was married briefly for 9 months. And when I came back, a son was born and a divorce ensued. And the last time I saw him was when he was 2.5.
Oh my God.
And just one of those things, send off a check to the P.O. box, whatever. Michael was raised by foster parents. His mother passed away when he was young, like 6. He was raised by foster parents. And in his words, quote, had a beautiful Leave It to Beaver lifestyle, had a great upbringing, the whole bit. So then I had, there was a casino, the Reseda Country Club in the Valley here, where they filmed that first scene in Boogie Nights, that great long camera shot. So they used to have a lot of great boxing there. Boxing events. The Goosen brothers used to put on shows there all the time. And he was there, and it's a small arena. So my brother Brian and I were telling Dad, why don't you call? Leave a message, right? He did. Michael called back. They got together for lunch. His son.
No way.
Then we come together 2 weeks later. We meet La Trattoria. I'll never forget it. Barrington and Wilshire. Little Italian place on the second floor. And I'm waiting for Michael to walk in. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this guy. Yeah. And here comes in my half brother, who I'm a fan of, and I can't even tell you the feeling, what happened. But we all got along great. It was amazing. And then I used to travel for my businesses or whatever the case might be. And I would stop off in Vegas and go to the fights, and Huey and I would have dinner afterwards, partied up a bit, two young buffers having fun in Sin City. And I remember one night, I know the exact date. It was November 2nd or 16th, 1992. And it was Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield's first fight. Okay. Now we're at Thomas and Mack, and I watch everybody going crazy as he does the Rumble, Jack Nicholson, Hulk Hogan, losing their cookies, the whole bit. I'm like, wow, something's here. This is really big. He hadn't even met a hat or a t-shirt, right? So instead of going and partying and playing blackjack and all the stuff we love to do in Vegas, I went back to my room, and it was like my hand wouldn't stop. I just started writing 3 pages of notes, put them in the football field, the NBA field, movies, TV, video games, toys, trademark this properly. And then I read an article where Pat Riley trademarked the term three-peat when the Lakers repeated, and how he made like $1.5 million off merchandise. And I thought, okay. So I met with trademark attorneys, and Michael I've been trying to get him to trademark, and he did trademark it, but it wasn't, you got to, as you know, you got to trademark in different classes and make it right. It wasn't solid. It could have been stolen from him or other things because it wasn't protected fully. So I met with Michael, and I said, look, in so many words, said basically, Michael, I owned 2 companies at the time, making the great money, living the 2.5 men lifestyle like I was kidding about earlier. And it was incredible money. I was making incredible money. I was burned out. When we talk about passion, I was burned out. I wasn't waking up going, it's time. I was waking up going, oh, God.
It's time already.
It's time already. I got to do this, telemarketing, this, that, the other. So I just met with Michael. I said, look, Michael, I've had an epiphany. I want to make you richer and more famous than you ever dreamed. Hopefully myself in the process. And I want to keep the HBO boxing ring as a base, and I'm going to build so many things out of this for you. But to do this, I have to become your manager and whatever that entails. But if I create video games, toys, movies, as we've done over the years, I'm your partner.
Okay, can you pause for 1 second? How long had you known him for at this point?
I say we're probably 3 years in.
Oh, okay, 3 years.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
But still, three years is long but short in terms of like a new brotherhood, right? So
yeah.
So what was his like reaction like? Because you're his like new, always but new kind of brother, like who all of a sudden is pitching him. And by the way, you're also like a great telemarketer. So like, what is his reaction to this? Like,
I can sell an air conditioner to an Eskimo. Okay, let's just be real. But we knew each other enough in that 3-4 year period and respected each other. He respected my business acumen. Yeah. Well, listen, everything I say is honest. You play poker against me, I'm going to lie through my teeth. I want every one of your chips.
I want to talk about that later.
I'm a big poker player.
Yeah, we know.
So, with that being said, he knew that he knew my character. He knew who I am.
Sure.
He realized the beauty of our family, the family unit we are. And Michael likes to make money. And of course he wanted to make money, but he never hired an agent. He did everything himself. And that's micromanaging. You do things yourself, you can only go so far. It's like the old story. I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. So that's what I just, showed him about. And basically, without signing a piece of paper, we each put in $5,000. We started the Buffer Partnership. We never put another dime in the bank account since then. And I went out and I would go to trade shows, toy shows in New York, whatever, on my own ticket. At that time, it cost me $15 to go to Kinko's to make the big promo kits that I had. And walking up, I'm Bruce Buffer, Michael Buffer, let's get ready to rumble. You should put it on this and put it on that. Maybe make this, maybe make that. Within a year, I had the first 2 products. I had a talking keychain and a talking mug. So when you drink it, it's got a football player or a boxer. Like, let's get ready. Right? It's going out.
If I say it, will I get sued by you guys?
No, especially if I'm in the room. And when I leave, I'll see you next week. So no, you're cool. You're cool. I know the stories about me. I'm the sheriff. I'm the man behind the rumble, man behind the rumble, and the sheriff of the rumble. But come on, Logan, you know yourself. Impulsive. That's you. That's nobody else, right? Let's Get Ready Rumble's Michael. When you trademark something, you got to protect it. Otherwise, the government can take it away from you. I even, Don Imus one time was constantly playing Michael's voice from the Jock Jam, which really put Michael over the top because they would play in all the arenas. But if I didn't do this, I don't know if those 5 words of air would have lasted. It could have been an Andy Warhol 15 minutes, like show me the money, show me where's the beef, all that kind of stuff. Because when you think about it, Michael's career is still huge. It's probably the most popular phrase in the world, and I'm happy to say its time's getting up there too.
Yeah.
But why is that? It's because of careful marketing. So when Jock Jams put out their CD that all the arenas would play all the big songs from, dun, 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 all that stuff. everything was BMI and ASCAP registered. I didn't do that. I made it a copyright and a trademark. So that way, if somebody took it and played it in the arenas of the Raider games or the Ravens or the Cowboys or whatever, and I would hear about it, I would call them up and say, hey, you can't do that. Right? You have to license it from us. I'm not looking to sue you. Here's the fee. You can use it for the season. And I started making deals before I ever even had an attorney. You know?
That had to be one of the first of its kind. Like, had you heard of a saying being trademarked?
Only 3P. Remember I mentioned earlier?
Yeah, and
I
that's
never
what
heard of
inspired
it.
you to.
Well, it fueled my fire further when I realized that, because my initial reaction was to trademark it. But I'm proud to say that we're actually studied in trademark law in colleges as a case law, case study. All the lawsuits and everything we've been involved in. I'm not the kind of guy where you hit me in the rear of my car and I get like, oh, my neck, and I want to get some money. That's not it.
Yeah.
It's business.
For sure.
One time there was a movie called Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan.
Classic, yeah.
Before it came out, I'm, eating my Cheerios or whatever, open up the LA Times, and it's like 4 pages for 5 pages. Get ready to rumble,
Ooh.
Jackie Chan. And I'm like, whoa, where does that come from? So this was the first legal case we had. We went to court against New Line Cinema, and we were out of pocket over 6 figures within 2 months. You know how fast that can go. And it gets kind of scary, right? We won the case. We came out on top. And then I met a great attorney who handled that for us, and he became my contingency attorney.
Yeah.
And we started protecting it. And the Don Imus story, if I may tell you this real quick, he would play it all the time, and I went into the cleaner, and I sent him a letter explaining it was a trademark. I'm a fan of your show, trademark. Please do not say that, but if you want to, call me for permission. I come back from doing a UFC. I go into my cleaners. I go, oh, you were on the Don Imus show today. I go, Don Imus show? I haven't been on Don Imus. No, he's talking about you. And they told me, basically what he said is, I got this stupid letter from this idiot, named Bruce Buffer. He says, I can't do this.
No.
And he just goes like this and plays it. Okay. Now, this is called the big ball move. So I sent him through my attorney a copy of the lawsuit that I would file if he played it again. Right. Michael calls me a few days later from New York. It's 6 a.m. New York, 9 o'clock my time. And the USA Today has a story how we're being sued by Infinity Broadcasting to free up the trademark, which owned the Don Imus show. Right now, we've got pockets this deep. They've got pockets this deep.
For sure.
You can be ruined in a lawsuit.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, what do I do? I mean, it's David and Goliath time. What do I do? I sent my attorney and our attorney in that afternoon to file a lawsuit against him. I threw the dice, and we came out on top.
Nice.
Oh, shit.
Nice. You guys are bulletproof, it sounds like. You
know what? I fight.
Yeah.
You point, I shoot. I fight.
When you originally went to trademark that or copyright it, how did that saying start? And is it let's get ready to rumble and only that, or is there iterations of it? I know this is gonna get very technical. We don't have to get into all this, but my only curiosity was, did HBO or did anyone else that was a vehicle or propellant of that becoming such a mainstream slogan want a piece? Did they ever come after it?
In 2 answers to your question, first off, Michael in his own words would tell you that he created it. And where it came from is, Muhammad would come out, Muhammad Ali go, ooh, I'm pretty, I'm ready to rumble, blah, 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 blah. And then Michael put it together. He would say man your battle stations, do this. Because when you're out there introducing, it's like, well, the commission's this, and the referee is this, and this, and this, and this, and the crowd's just going, right? And you got to bring him, with all respect, you got to bring him back in.
Sure.
So he created Let's Get Ready to Rumble to bring him back in to create the crescendo.
Definitely worked.
And it worked. So that was him. And then with the trademarking and all, people have tried that. But no, every deal I signed, every license deal, every TV show, every movie, it's all us. Michael owns it in our partnership. We market it together, and you just have to protect it. It's like there's Let's Get Ready to Crumble. We just did this whole thing for crumble cookies. I don't know if you ever had those.
Nice.
They're unbelievable. So that's Let's Get Ready to Crumble. Other time, Kraft Cheese did a cheese commercial. Was Get Ready to Crumble. He stood in front of the old Hacienda Hotel on New Year's Eve when Sinbad announced it. And then he goes, let's get ready to rumble, right? And it imploded behind him.
Sick.
Or crumbled. And then it imploded behind him. So there's paraphrasers. Get ready to rumble. Ready to rumble.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, would you ever consider bringing on like an underling for you? Because I know a dating app that might be interested in Let's Get Ready to Bumble. I know a bunch of alcohol brands. Let's Get Ready to Stumble.
I do these deals all the time.
Damn it. I was just okay.
No, but understand. Since you're talking to me about making deals,
Yes.
You know, you butter my bread, I butter your palm.
Okay, so if
It's
I
all
bring
good.
you the
Wow,
deal,
It's a business deal. It's a business deal.
Not only does he like to make business deals, but he likes buttering his bread.
That too. Like, I mean, even like a little gymnastic gym. Let's get ready to tumble.
I do it all the time. I do.
A football player that can't hold the ball. Let's get ready to fumble. Like I could do
We've
this.
done. Let's get ready to fumble. Michael was on Saturday Night Live in a bit one time. He's at the table. It was called The Buffer Family. It's a really funny bit. And his son goes and says, Dad, I'm playing football. And he goes, let's get ready to fumble. Like that.
Okay, so then what happened that you met Michael and you were kind of doing his business workings, that you saw what he was doing and decided you might be able to do the same thing?
Well, I told Michael when we met that I would love to be an announcer. I love the lifestyle. I said I would love to. You saw your socks; those are funny. I would love to announce. And actually, one time we went to Kellogg, Michigan, to do a kickboxing fight, and we agreed I would not do boxing because there was no money, and Michael, at the time, was the only one making a full-time living. You know, Jimmy Lennon, who's a great announcer himself, you know, doing his job, making his money. That you don't make a lot of money as an announcer. Right? You gotta. It doesn't pay a lot back then, and you know, we've created that avenue for us. But just like in avenues you're in, not everybody makes a lot of money, right? So I agreed it was a confliction of interest. Fine, whatever. Then this event came along in 1993 called the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and I thought, okay, this is the fastest growing pay-per-view. I read about it. I said, as Michael's manager, my job was to get him into every big event there was. So I called up and made a deal for him to do UFC 5, 6, and Ultimate, a 3-fight deal, 3-event deal. So I got him a big paycheck, but he was getting a big paycheck from WCW wrestling at the time. He loved wrestling, the days of Hulk and Sting and all that stuff. And he would do the Monday Night Nitros and the pay-per-views and making just, you know, we made a very big deal with him. But he's allowed to do other stuff. So I got him in the UFC. Now we're in Casper, Wyoming for UFC 5 or 6, 7, whatever. Just one of those UFCs right there. Sorry, I'm brain farting for a second. And this is when Tank Abbott came on the scene and all. So they, at dinner the night before, they told Michael, we want you to go in the octagon and say, if it's not in the octagon, it's not real, right? Back then, with all respect, wrestling is sports entertainment, right? And I have so much respect for you guys because I know from fighters that have done it, they get hurt more doing your sport than it actually going out and fighting for real. But those guys, you know, they go at it. You can have anything predetermined you want. Things happen. Okay. So I really highly respect wrestling. But they wanted you to think when Hulk Hogan blasted you, 20 times in the face, that was it. Well, your face would be hamburger, if he's really laying that down. So I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get a call on Monday. I know I'm going to get a call. I got a call. WCW calls me up. What are you doing? I go, what do you mean? Why are you putting him in that? I said, it's in his contract. I mean, Michael is a fight announcer. Okay. I have him doing it. Well, you got to make a decision. WCW, UFC, right? Okay. I said, look, he's got 3 fights on his contract and I got to have him finish all 3 events and then fine. No problem. This is after I talked to Michael and we agreed that would be the case. It would be very hard for Michael to continue with the UFC the way it grew with everything else he had on his plate. So at that point, then I talked to the owner. I said, okay, I got to pull Michael. I want to be the announcer. Okay, I've got the media contacts you don't have because people were scared of the UFC back then. It was a spectacle. Now it's a mainstream sport.
Weren't there no weight classes at the time?
There were no time limits, no weight classes. You had guys fighting 600-pound.
In like a gi sometimes?
A gi, no gi, whatever.
I'm sorry, but that sounds more entertaining to me. I want to watch that again.
It was more entertaining to some people in their minds at the time. It was also frightening to a lot of others. It never would have grown to where it is today unless it got the rules and the refinement that it did. It wasn't even called mixed martial arts till like 6-7 years in.
What was it called?
It was blood sport. I mean, it was like, back then they would fight 3 times in a night. Okay. The tournaments. That doesn't happen today. You come out with no time limits. You're fighting 2-3 times in a night. And Royce Gracie, came out in the beginning and beat everybody, being the skinny 180-pound, guy that he was.
Oh, that's who it was.
Yeah, that was Royce Gracie. I actually, in 1991, there is a famous director named John Milius who wrote Apocalypse Now, did Red Dawn, all these films. He was a buddy of my family's and mine. So he called me up because I was kickboxing really heavily, and he's like, Buff, come over to this gym. You got to train some jiu-jitsu. And I said, I've trained jiu-jitsu. He goes, you never trained Gracie jiu-jitsu. Oh, okay. So we go to Torrance. We go to the gym. Out comes this, 6'1", 6 foot skinny kid, nice kid, 20-some years old. He goes, hi, my name is Royce. Come with me. He pulls me in a room. We're alone. Closes the door. The rooms are padded. He goes, I understand you're a kickboxer. Come at me. Take my head off. Right? There's nobody there, but the Gracie challenge, whatever. So I'm game. So you want to put on some gloves? He goes, no, let's just do this, right?
Jeez.
So I go at him, pop, pop, pop. And I swear to God, guys, and I'm not ashamed of this, 45 seconds later, give or take 5, right? I'm on my back.
Obviously.
He's got me in a side choke. He's choking me out, and he's going tap, tap, tap. So I tap, and I'll never forget it. He gets up in the guard, straightens out his gi, and says, see? Isn't it nice not to get hit in the face, right? Wow. I mean, every street fight I've been in has always gone to the ground, but I know how to bite. I know what it takes, okay? So this is different. And then when I saw him come out at UFC 1 with his hands on the back of one of his family members, I looked at my family and friends watching and go, see this little skinny kid? Yeah. He's going to beat everybody. And we all know he did, right? And then it was like jiu-jitsu was the art. That was the sport that was winning.
Yeah.
The best base for mixed martial arts, I think most people, professional fighters, agree with me, is wrestling. Okay, but sooner or later, people come out. You got the Taekwondo expert, this expert, that expert, but it became mixed martial arts, and people began to learn jiu-jitsu, began to learn everything. And now these fighters, with all respect, men and women, they're super men and super women. They can have an answer for everything.
They have to.
The boxers that go in, a championship boxer going in the octagon, will lose 99.9% of the
It's a
time.
death wish.
The UFC fighter going in the boxing ring is going to lose 99.9% of the time, right?
As we've found out.
And of course, there's always, I can name UFC fighters that are really good boxers, but as a rule, I come from the school of straight down the pipe, short punches, power, the whole bit, body, the whole bit, not the looping. It's hard when you're a ground fighter. I think it's easier to teach a striker how to ground fight than to teach a ground fighter how to strike.
You think so?
Really?
It depends on the individual.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that because they loop. You got to really get the proper training.
I read you got a concussion at 32 that kind of halted your hard sparring.
Yeah. Well, because I wanted to have one professional fight just to say I had it.
Yeah.
I was making plenty of money. It wasn't about that. And during the whole training process, I got concussed twice to where the doctor said, and I was slurring my words and suffer, that immediate reaction.
Oh, it's a serious concussion.
It was a serious concussion. And I'll tell you another funny, they did give me another one. But he looked at me and he said, listen, you can train. He goes, is this how you make your money? I go, no, I make my money doing this. Stop. He goes, you're going to be this way. You're going to be in your 40s. You're going to have problems. Stop. Right. So I stopped. As much as I love to spar. I mean, I still spar today, just whatever. But I got a family to take care of.
Oh.
Wait, so I want to go back to this moment that you decide that you're going to just
be an announcer.
All of a sudden replace your brother.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, because it to me it's just so funny because I go back to the moment where your dad taught you announce your presence, say it with your chest, son. And I wonder if that was the last thing he said to your brother when he was leaving him in or after
No,
that's a little dark, bro.
It's a little.
Don't forget, no matter what happens.
It's a little deeper than that, but it really came down to this. In a short version of the story, I saw this as an opportunity.
Right.
This is my world. Martial arts is my world. Okay. Boxing is my world. Together, it's my world personified. So I would say you need a buffer in the octagon. I need to grow with you as the announcer to perfect my art. And as well, I will do everything I can outside of being an announcer to help you build this brand and grow this brand. Because I obviously knew how to build a brand.
Yep.
I just got done building one before that, in the process thereof. So I didn't want a dime. I didn't want anything. I helped him get on Jimmy Kimmel and, National Enquirer TV show and Jay Leno and all this kind of stuff. And I would even call up ESPN saying, you guys should carry this. You know what they told me back then? They didn't like the name. They were scared of the name. Now they just paid, what, 1.52 billion or whatever they paid. And the UFC is with them. But it fell on deaf ears. So I got a videotape sent to me by a guy named Scott the Pitbull Ferrazzo. 6'1", hands down to his ankles, 340 pounds, a perfect guy for the UFC back then. I sent it off to Robert. He hired him for a fight in Bayamon, Puerto Rico, February 16th, 1996. As his manager for getting the job, I got to fly down with him. So I put my tuxedo in the suitcase. And when I got there, I said, Robert, at the night before, he always had these dinner parties the night before. I said, Robert, I'm coming down. I've got my tuxedo. Let me announce the prelims. Let me show you what I got. Give me a shot, right? Gave me a shot. And I announced 3 fights. Go home. I watch it now. I go, no. It's just not me. But it was, where I cut my teeth. So then it fell on deaf ears. I keep flying into New York. I'm taking them out for drinks. I'm doing this. I want the job. I come from the school. If you want something, you ask for it, right? So then they called me. They said, listen, 6 months later, they said, the announcer's uncle passed away. We need you in Dothan, Alabama in 2 days to announce UFC 10. I was in the hospital with my mom and just had a serious operation. She's in bed, lying back. It's the day after she's been cut open. And it was like Rocky with Talia Shire, where she's in a coma, and not my mom, but Talia Shire, and Rocky won't train, he won't do anything, and her hand moves, right? And then all of a sudden she looks at him and goes, win, right? So I get off the phone, I go, guys, I'll call you back. I'm really dealing with something right now with my mom. I'll call you back. And I hang up, and my mom looks at me and she goes, that's the call you've been waiting for, isn't it? I said, yes, it is, Mom, but I'm not leaving you. She goes like this, I swear to God, go. You gotta go.
Oh my
right?
God.
All of a sudden, all I'm hearing is dun 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 dun. I'm going into a montage of shots. I get down there, I do the job, I announce the whole show. I think I do a good job. I get back, it's like, hey, I'm ready. Come on, let's do this. They hire somebody else.
Oh, man.
Did you tell them about your mom?
Another
and the fucking this?
I know. You know what?
They looked at you and they will go, fuck you.
They may not be family oriented, So then about another 6 months goes by, and then they call me up and they go, hey, listen, we're doing a TV show called Friends. It's called The Ultimate Fighting Champion, right? And the voiceover of the announcer, but Warner Brothers wants the real person. They're sending somebody down. We're going to have them send down to your house. Would you like to be on Friends? I go, yeah, okay. So they came down, they picked up tape and audio. Warner Brothers called me like 5 o'clock that afternoon. Okay, you're hired. You're going to co-star as yourself, right? And John McCarthy and Tank Abbott were on the show. John Favreau.
Of course.
Um,
He was in the ring fighting.
yeah, he was in the ring
He was dating
fighting.
Monica.
Monica's boyfriend, the eccentric boyfriend. And so anyway, I went down and rehearsed, but I told the owner, Robert, I said, listen, at lunch, I need to talk to you. And I went up and I met with him and I said, look, I've been after this job for a year and a half. I'm co-starring as myself on the biggest comedy in TV today, biggest publicity you've ever had, right? I feel like a girl waiting to be asked to the prom and nobody's asking me. So I'm going to ask you one more time and I'll never ask you again. Let me become the Octagon announcer and I will help you build this brand every way possible. Not ask for a dime. Just let me be the announcer and grow with you and grow with the sport. Best poker hand I ever played in my life. One of the best poker hands. And that's what I started.
You got it.
I got it.
So good.
Big moment in history. Right
Big
there.
moment.
good.
Big moment for me, that's
Damn.
for sure.
So you like
I can't believe
Yeah,
you worked with John Favreau on Friends.
Yeah.
Dude, that's insane how you went from, dude, I mean, did the fact that you saw your brother and you're like, I could do this. I could do this better than you.
Well, it's never a competition because, everybody wanted to be my brother. I did not want to be Frank Sinatra Jr. That's the last thing I wanted, with all respect to Frank Sinatra Jr. I told myself I would spend 2 years or so, and if I can't build my own identity, be recognized as Bruce Buffer for the way I do it, I would quit. And I would. I'm telling you guys, that's how I am. Things started to grow. I never even said it's time till about 7 years in.
I was going to say, it's impressive that you were able to make a brand of your own
Thank you.
under, at the time, I'm sure what felt like the giant shadow of one of the greatest announcers ever. So coming up with your own unique voice and, pun intended, finding your voice was impressive.
Yeah.
How did you come up with It's Time? Because your brother had this incredible saying, you're doing the same thing,
Right.
you want to make a name for yourself, and then now the pressure's on you. And I know how hard it is to reverse engineer something spectacular.
Yeah.
It a lot of the times things kind of fall into place, and like the miracle happens of the brand, and Let's Get Ready to Rumble happened to be this thing that everyone resonated with, but now you have the pressure of coming up with your own saying. You created It's Time. How?
Well, I took pride in the fact that I wasn't phrase driven. I didn't want to come out and think, Michael Buffer, Let's Get Ready to Rumble, the greatest phrase spoken at the time by anybody. And I I wanted to put it on the tip of everybody's tongue in American culture as his manager and partner, which was my job. But I didn't want to be like Michael, like every other announcer.
Yeah.
So it wasn't what it's, again, I'll repeat this. It's not what I say, it's how I say it, right? So I went from that school entering in, and I would open the show and go, it's time to begin the Ultimate Fighting Championship. That's how I started the show, right? So when Dana bought it, I had the Godfather meeting. They flew me into Vegas to meet the Godfather, right? Sat down. He said, I want you to stop saying that at the beginning and try to grab the energy you had when you announced Tito Ortiz and Evan Tanner in Atlantic City, because that, along with your brother announcing Riddick Bowe and Holyfield, strangely enough, the fight that gave me the epiphany, are the two greatest announcements I've ever heard from an announcer. So I would like you to maintain that energy and as best you can. And I stopped saying it's time, but then I noticed in the main event, the audience and fans have been here for 5 hours or so waiting for the main event. The fighters have trained for 8 to 10 weeks to be in the main event. This is truly the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time, right? So that's why I started doing that. And I wanted to bring people back into the fight, like the scenario I told you earlier, when you're announcing the commission is this, and this is this, and the audience goes down. You got to bring them back, right? And I saw this as my hook. I finally realized this is the mark I wanted to do. So I did it, and it's different when I started versus how I do it today. I mean, I used to get 3-4 feet of air. I mean, I would jump, like crazy. And I go cry. I have no ACL on my left knee because I blew it.
Is that how you blew it out? I was going to ask.
No, the first ACL was at the Toronto 55,000 people. I was in a poker tournament the week before, and when I got up during the break, I hit a dip in the carpet at the Hustler Casino, and I rolled my ankle, right? So I made to day 2, but when I got home that night, my ankle when I woke up was filled with blood. So I had to run to the hospital, get my ankle drained. I couldn't walk. They gave me some crutches. I went back to the poker tournament. I got 3rd place, won like 30 grand, but I couldn't walk, right? Now I got to leave for the biggest show historically ever in the UFC. Sold out in 20 minutes, 55,000 people. And it's Thursday, and I'm just now starting to be able to walk on my foot. So I get to Toronto. I get in the octagon. That Saturday night. I'm jumping. I'm turning. The adrenaline's taking over. You know how that goes, I'm sure, Logan. And I'm announcing George St. Pierre, right? And so I go, George, rush. And then he lunges out like always. And I instinctively bunny hop back the way I always do when he does. And my bad ankle wobbled. And when it wobbled, my knee exploded and severed my ACL. And I still remember the click, the snap.
GSP tore your ACL.
I severed it. I didn't tear it. I severed it.
No.
So I go back and I'm walking over to the referee and my knee's going like this. And I've got my game face on. But inside I'm going, holy shit, I just blew my knee. Right? And I walk out and John McCarthy goes, I think you just blew your ACL. Stitched around. The cut man puts an ice bag on my knee.
No, that'll do it.
I'm looking up at Warriors fighting and the announcer's got an ice bag on his knee. What's wrong with that picture? So then I go and I get, they say, okay, you need to get, a new ACL, blah, blah, blah. I'm filming a movie in 2 weeks called Here Comes the Boom. I've got UFCs every week, and I never want to miss a show. I wanted to be the Cal Ripken of the UFC. Yeah. I said, guys, our Dr. Elatrosh, who did Tom Brady's knee, we had a meeting. I said, Doc, let me brace it up. Give me the brace that'll make me work. I have a 4-week window in 2.5 months. Can we do it then? Can you get me back in the octagon in 4 weeks? Because normally it takes about 8 weeks, but if you listen to what I do, I'll have you back in the octagon in 4 weeks. So I went in, I got my ACL replaced, and went back in. I was a little buffer light, but I didn't miss a beat.
So
I did it.
Impressive.
That was the first one. Then
this happened more than once.
Yeah.
Same ACL.
No. Then
got them both.
About 7 years later, they called me up in Vegas. It's the first time and the only time they had 3 UFCs in a row, 3 days in a row, 8-hour, 10-hour days as an announcer. Boom. That night before the first show, they go, listen, we're doing a lip sync contest. We'd like you to appear. And I thought they wanted me to announce. So, no, we'd like you to lip sync. So I picked Billy Idol's Rebel Yell, right?
Great song.
And he always jumps at the beginning of it, right?
He did this while singing.
So I go up there, and the stage was like put together in sections, a little wobbly, and I come out, and you can go Google Bruce Buffer blows knee at lip sync contest, and you'll see it. So I jump, and when I come down, I hear the same thwack, right? My knee goes. And then it went twice in 45 seconds, so you see me fall on the ground, right? Still lip syncing and doing my stuff. And then I get up and I do the air guitar bit. I mean, 3 minutes long this song is, right? And I'm like, can this song friggin' end, This is crazy. And I go sit down afterwards and I go, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. So I go to I get an MRI the next morning. They go, you have no ACL. You severed it. It's gone. You need to go Rice, rest ice. All that.
Compress elevate.
I go, no, I got to be at the Octagon in 4 hours. I got to go to work. So you'll see me, if I forget exactly which show it was, but you'll see me go in. I'm buffer light. I'm doing it on one leg, right? I would instead of doing this, when I turned, I would turn my feet like this, and I would just turn my hips into my body, right? So you'll see at a point about halfway through the night, I get the knee brace on the outside of my leg, and I did all 3 shows. Anyone again, I'm not fighting, okay?
Yeah, go.
I would have you fucking quit anything in your life, like anything, because you said if that didn't work out for you, trying to find your own image, that you would quit. But I find that hard to fucking believe, bro. I don't think you quit anything.
Well, you got to know when to get the Velcro off your ass and get up and find another table, okay? You got to know when it's time.
Has that
a man
ever
has to know
happened?
his limit. Of course.
Could you name one?
Huh?
Just so I could feel better.
Well, he's technically no. He's
I have.
named a lot. He's named a lot. Anytime he's transitioned from one job or industry to the other was one of those moments.
Not everything is a success. You got to learn what it's like to fail before you can learn what it's like to succeed. You got to have the taste for both.
I think the ability for a person to look themselves in the mirror and understand when they've reached their capacity or maybe have not reached their capacity at a thing is a really, really important skill to have.
It's an important skill, but it goes in your personal life too. It's almost like when you're involved, with a woman, and you realize at one point, is this really going to be the future for me? And she has to realize it too. It's like you got to realize when.
What's your worth? What's your worth?
Yeah.
Whether it's in a relationship or just in what you're doing,
Business, relationship,
everything.
Poker, blackjack,
It's
fighting.
a hard conversation to have with yourself.
It's so
But
hard.
you gotta-
especially if you love what you're doing. That's the worst. Bruce, I see people they'll be doing something they love and they just suck at it.
But they stay at the game too long sometimes.
I know, but then they end up only shooting themselves in the foot because you're way too deep down a path of something that maybe just you weren't meant to be doing.
You've got to be honest with yourself.
Have to.
Well, if they
have to
love
be.
it, I think they're still like winning.
I
doing what you love.
I had this conversation with you. It was one of the first conversations we had when we met.
Yeah, he told me to stop being a model. I wasn't tall enough. I don't like the way you laughed at that.
No, it was amusing.
No, I know. And you also had the same conversation with yourself.
I suck at it.
I have to ask you this, and I hope it doesn't derail the conversation, but have you ever seen felony fights on YouTube?
Yeah.
I can just imagine what those are. You mean like bum fights and that kind
I'm
of stuff?
talking
I know
straight out
bum
the
fights.
pin, and you got no job because
The
no one's
pin?
gonna hire you, and now you have to go to felony fights. Dude, I've watched one that was by the creek, and the dude literally started drowning his opponent.
Oh my
and,
God.
and the announcer was hilarious. So in my mind, I want to see you announce
Well,
felony fights one
first
day.
off, I would never do that. That's a little below my pay scale or whatever the term is.
Oh, you don't know the budget of felony fights.
Have you seen a
It's a
camcorder
big
before?
show.
Let me tell you something, guys. Coming up, when I was doing every mixed martial arts event, pretty much asked me to announce. But before like the Fertittas took over, and I became exclusive to the UFC with Dana, I had cowboy bars where the fights in the audience were better than the fights going on in the ring.
Yeah.
To underground fights downtown with Tito Ortiz and others. I mean, there was so much underground activity. So I've seen some pretty heavy things. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
You have yet to announce me.
I
I'm
think
sorry,
Vince
I'll answer
McMahon
this.
said recently when he was talking to his announcer, because he was at the show, that he wasn't crazy about my over-the-top style or something like that
What?
For wrestling.
for wrestling.
I mean, we can get you to
I
do
would
boxing.
be there. I would do a one-off with you in a
or
heartbeat.
if I want to do a UFC fight.
Well, you know how I feel about that.
What if I just come to you?
You got to go to the powers that be.
You know what?
I thought Dana entertained the fact,
Yeah, he did. He did.
whatever his relationship with your brother is, but I think when it comes to you, he's entertained the fact.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you know this, Bruce, and perhaps this is breaking information, but you know,
I hear it. It's coming.
do you know Prime is now the official sports drink of the UFC?
Yes, I know. I'm so proud of you. That's so awesome.
You knew that?
Yeah, I knew it was coming in.
Thanks, man.
Well, I happen to know somebody in your organization that kind of spilled the beans. So.
I'm not sure how it spreads in there, but like personally, I'll tell you, this is one of the coolest things I've ever achieved in my life.
It's awesome. I understand you've already captured like at 1 point of the market. What you've done in like 8 or 10 months or 12 months with this, I hope to do with my It's Time energy drink. I've got it coming out in 40 countries myself, but getting back to this, it's a quality product. God knows you have the following to make it happen. And when I've been explained to me like the amount of success you've had with this, look, sponsoring the UFC is not cheap.
Oh, we know.
It is not cheap.
Oh, trust, I know.
Yeah.
Do you know how it happened?
Tell me.
We were looking to sponsor one event in February, which is going to happen right after the show, actually, with Volkanovski
Oh, that's the
in Perth.
in Perth. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you going?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Oh, great. Let's do dinner. I'm down there.
Oh, no way. Cool. Yeah, we're going to announce the launch of Prime in Australia. And
Awesome.
we're going to be doing a meetup and everything. And that'll be the first major event that we are on the logo and have the commercial. And people know that we're now the official sports partner of the UFC. But I texted Dana and I was like, hey, is this spot open? Like, just out of curiosity. I know at the time they had another sponsor. Is there a chance that we could make our way in just for this one event? And it turns out that the contract they had with their current isotonic partner at the time was expiring at the end of 2022.
Timing's everything.
Everything. I can't believe it.
Everything.
My partner called me. He's like, hey, this contract is open. Is this something that like interests you? And I'm like, dude, I have been watching the UFC my whole fucking life. I mean, you know this. I'm obsessed with everything UFC. If a product that I created, that I drew the logo on paper, it was just an idea at one point, becomes the official sports drink, the fuel of my favorite sports organization, like that is a dream come true. I cannot fathom how cool that is. And we won the bid. We won the bid. And for the next 3 years, we'll be the
3 years?
3 years, dude. How crazy is that?
You're so lucky, but you worked for it, you asked for it, you got it. And congratulations.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Awesome.
I don't know if you know this either, but we want you to do It's Prime. one time, just one time, Bruce. Not here, not now.
No. I've been talking to your guy Matt.
Okay. So you know.
And you know what I'm coming out with my products and stuff.
Yeah,
I've already got the clear from my company, everything. Let's work together.
Oh my god.
Let's work together.
So cool. Dude.
It's
Prime. Let's go.
We'll invoice you for that. By the way.
Yeah, thanks. Send me an invoice. I got you.
Wait till you get mine. Okay.
I've actually hired you before to do a promo for my subscription club, the Maverick Club. I don't know if you remember this.
But you didn't come at me for that.
I think I did on Cameo. I think I went the official route.
Oh my gosh, I remember doing that with. I should have put two and two together. Yeah.
Because you have a Cameo that I'm sure is popping, right? People can order like custom.
They told me I'm one of the top.
I'm sure.
10%.
You've got to be, because you also put a lot of effort into it. You get in front of the green screen, like people really get.
The green screens, I do that out of my office. People write me at brucebuffer.com, and we do the green screen for businesses, and I have special things there for championship intro introductions, audio and video. So we'll do the green screen, put images behind.
Yep.
That during COVID grew to be a huge business.
So he's just a
hustler.
hustler.
Dude, how?
Like he knows how to even transform the business when it's a downtime in the rest of the industry.
When COVID hit, I told myself, because I've always been in shape, but I dropped 20 pounds. I go, I'm going to be, not that I had to, I just wanted to get in a different thing. I wanted to be in the best mental and physical condition. So where people are sitting back in the couch getting fat and lazy, no. This is the opportunity to step ahead and get ahead of the pack. So I wanted to be ready for it. So I started the video business. My business increased, 400% during COVID.
Crazy.
Because people wanted video. We're not just like they're doing Zoom meetings. It opened up a whole new realm, and I saw it. So I attacked it.
We leaned into it too. I
bet.
We started vlogging because we knew everyone's just going to be lazy. I also started smoking weed. It's been downhill ever since. But
wait, you say you started smoking weed during COVID?
That's when I started.
Yeah, but not like really right in the beginning. Like in the beginning, we were fucking bumping content. I mean, that's when I started too, and that was what created everything.
Yeah, but I can't be the only one that picked up.
No. Drugs and alcohol and substance abuse has skyrocketed.
Well, look at the suicide levels. I mean, if you really go down to a negative subject, it's crazy what's happening.
Massive.
The effect on children, teenagers, and adults is crazy.
Just because of the isolation. I mean, people weren't able to leave their house. They weren't able to go talk to their therapists, their counselors. They weren't able to go to school. I mean, there's been so many like experiments in the past on even on rats about what happens if you remove people from society. If you remove people from their ability to coexist and connect with each other, it's extremely dangerous. And I think we're starting to see those effects.
One of the benefits I had, because I used to, like I explained earlier, I've had the 40,000 square foot offices and the 150 employees and all that type stuff. And, I switched to a home office when I started managing Michael. And, you got to be self-motivating and to do that. waking up every day and there's nobody around you pushing you. So my partner, Kristen, and I, who's been my working side by side, is first started my assistant, then vice president. Now she's partner in my company and Michael's company. We've been working side by side for 25 years at my home. I started at my home on the beach, by myself, and then the place we're at now. And I knew a long time ago, running companies, that you could start any business you want and you can hire and have everything done outside.
Yeah,
I call them
remote.
satellites.
Yep.
I call them satellites. I knew how to build that kind of business. So I had an easy transition into the COVID world, except for the fact I couldn't go out to dinner and, live the life that I wanted to live.
Yeah, you like dinners. You're a dinners guy for sure.
I'm a social guy,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a dinner guy, I'm a foodie, but I like laughing. I like being with my bros and having a good time.
Do you ever want to do a seminar to like teach people how to be proactive with their business?
I do it. I teach,
Oh,
I teach
amazing.
branding and marketing. Before COVID, I was doing a lot
Does
of it.
everything.
Yeah, it does it.
He's a hustler, bro.
Doesn't surprise
Just
me.
like-
Well, I love helping people make money and better themselves. To me, competition breeds success and success breeds competition. I have no problem. Somebody wants to open up. I just came out with one of the best bourbons in the States. Winning awards left and right. There's many other bourbons. Fine, go sell. Go be successful. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask just a couple tactical questions
Sure.
about your voice, because I'm always so curious, man. I start sweating when I see you just screaming at the top of your lungs during these fights. How do you not lose your voice, and how have you not had to have some sort of vocal cord surgery?
Well, ask yourself, what does a singer do that's doing 2 shows a night for an hour and a half, 5-6 days a week? How do they do it, right?
Warm up?
So in the I don't rehearse. I don't like to rehearse. There's an organic voice and there's a rehearsal voice. So what I do is make sure I have the names down. When I'm writing my fight cards, I'm memorizing a lot. That's why you look at me and I rarely look at my fight cards.
Yeah.
But I can also read them no matter where they're at. I can read them up there, over there.
That was another
upside
question
down.
I had.
Oh, I can read them. It's an art you learn after a while.
Okay.
Because when I'm moving, I even cut a hole in the card to put my pinky through, because when I move so much, I don't want to drop the card.
Yeah.
Right. And if you notice in the main event, when I do the announcing, before I say, when I'm about to say it's time, I don't go like this like other announcers do. I just throw that card behind my back.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
let it go. I mean, this is my style. But singers bring it all up from the diaphragm. I used to bring it from here. So in the early days after a show, I'd probably be a little like this, and it started to bug me. And then I just started reading, and I talked to a voice coach, and I went for one voice coach lesson because I wanted to know what singers do. And then I learned how they bring it up from here. So it's and how you open up your throat. I mean, when I go into long, it's time or whatever, I'm literally I just feel it. I feel like I'm a trombone just roaring this thing, And I used to scream. Now I call it roar, right? So it's perfecting your tool. It's perfecting your muscle.
I've never been able to do it. I've taken the vocal lessons and everything, but I'm all screamed out, man. I can't.
Don't scream.
Well, I don't know how to do the diaphragm
this?
thing. Yeah.
That helps.
Use it.
Tapping the microphone?
No, just using the microphone.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, because with WWE now, I'm cutting promos and I'm watching it, and every time I scream, it's just
So
corny as fuck.
There got to be somebody to work with you. I'll come over for an hour and we'll work together. I'll help you work.
Dude, I
work
took
on it.
all the. I don't know if I'm a screamer, man. I don't even know if I'm a roarer. I don't have a roar.
You've got a voice. You just
I got a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what,
I'm working on
Logan?
it.
People love you for who you are. So just be yourself.
So that's what I learned. I think that's gonna be my shtick. If I just gotta find myself in there. But
Yeah.
I've always just been so curious. Like it's never happened. Huh? You've never had like what's it, a node pop up on?
No.
That's insane.
My brother in 2008 got throat cancer.
Oh fuck.
You imagine that? It's like a marathon runner getting busting his leg or
It's
getting a leg amputated.
It's a
He got
paper
throat-
headshot.
He was a stage 2 or 3 throat cancer.
Oh my god.
And they said, we're going to have to do this. You're going to need chemo. You're going to do this. He saw a third doctor, said, listen, I can take care of you. I'm going to remove this, this, and this. He woke up the next morning, and the first thing he said to himself, as he told me, was, ladies and gentlemen. He just wanted to hear it come out. That was the
No
very first
way.
thing. And when he heard that, he knew he was okay, because it's going to change his whole career. So he was out for 5 weeks, and he was back to work on HBO from throat cancer. I filled in for him on Casamayor HBO fight one time. But that's an amazing story. It was a very rough year.
Anyway, I mean, maybe this is a dumbass question, but is that in any way caused by the years of vocal strain that he was doing?
There's so many stories out there. You hear throat cancer and men could be from getting like Michael Douglas, I think, blamed it when he had it on, because he's pretty active. in the single world that, blamed it on like potentially, if I heard this correctly, the HPV virus. Or whatever.
Really?
Okay.
There's cancer's the luck of the draw. It's just a crazy animal.
Isn't it fucked up? And it's still not handled. I was going to ask you about him going back after 5 weeks and your ability to go back after 4 weeks on the ACL. And you guys having a DNA code that is tied to one another. Because I want to ask you this question about entrepreneurial nature and about the ability to hustle, nature versus nurture. Like, clearly it seems like nature is the answer for you and your brother, because you both have an entrepreneurial and a warrior ability to return to something after fucking getting your throat cut out.
I live by a code of honor and warrior spirit. And I put that into everything I do. Don't put your hands on me. Be respectful. I'll be respectful. I treat everybody with respect.
Have you seen 3 Identical Strangers?
Oh, that's
What's that?
crazy doc,
I
dude.
suggest you watch this
That's amazing.
documentary.
Yeah, you should
What is
watch
it? What is it?
3 Identical Strangers. So there were a set of triplets that were separated at birth and raised by 3 different families in 3 different financial places in their
Right.
life. One not so well off, one middle class, and one well off.
Right.
And they found and discovered each other when they were in college. And it was the nature versus nurture subject that apparently a like scientist was actually doing in real life with these kids who would be intentionally separated at birth from this adoption agency,
Wow.
which has its own slew of moral complications. But it was a really, really interesting documentary, and kind of had a tragic ending. Yeah. One of them ended up dying.
Well, hold on. What the fuck?
I'm like, all right. No,
You're that guy? You're that guy?
Hold on.
You're gonna give away the ending.
You're not only spoiling it for
Hold
the
on
room,
a
but also
second.
all of our wonderful
Okay.
viewers.
All right. Go watch it. It's
Thank you.
great.
Thank you. He's like, what happened was.
No, but nature versus nurture. It was I've always learned it to be 50-50, nature, nurture.
Mhm.
And that's kind of, I think, where this netted out as well. Maybe actually 60-40 in the favor of nature.
Mhm.
Like, your genetic code is going to program you to be a certain type of person.
Agreed.
And your circumstance is either, maybe going to amplify it, maybe affect it, or push it a certain way. But who you are and who you were meant to be, even I'm sure you've experienced this with Michael a little bit, is a little bit ingrained in you.
No, absolutely, no question. I mean, again, I'm the as he says, the businessman in the family. But in life, the top 1-2% make all the money, whether it's the boxers or whether it's whatever. But life is like a pyramid, right? You have a family, you've got the grandfather, the hierarchy leading down to the kids, the aunts and uncles, all the way to the bottom. In business, you've got the CEO, the vice presidents leading down to the secretaries, to the people that answer the phones, pack the boxes, do everything. It's very important, not just the people at the top. The base is ultimately important, because without that base, it all falls down. So not everybody is born to be a leader. Not everybody is born to be a CEO. Not everybody's born to be Logan Paul, right? You either have the it factor and you go for it and you realize it, or you honorably and pleasurably and respectfully work for the paycheck, or you work for the commission. Where's your head at?
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with anything.
Back in the day, you're like, you would threaten like quitting like a good job, and they would say, well, the world needs ditch diggers too. And it was like the biggest like insult that anybody could ever say. But in reality, it's just a fact of the matter. Like, people, like, your role, whatever it is, however lowly you think it is or high you think it is all just part of as you just described it, a program.
And
the Matrix, some call it.
To a degree, and everybody is expendable. The moment you think that you're not expendable, like, you've heard the story numerous times where there's a hit TV show, or like the guy in Iron Man, in the first Iron Man, I forget his Terrence, whatever was. Yeah,
Terrence Howard.
Yeah. So he wanted more money, right? And he was already being paid a boatload of money. And this happens in TV shows, and they argue, and then they're off the TV show and they don't work again. They never have that chance, right? Don't. Realize your worth, realize where it's at, and realize what you can go for and what you can't go for. But always go for it.
Is anyone irreplaceable?
My mom and my dad, to me.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I mean, in business, there's always somebody that can fill and do the job. Like, okay, people say in my case, like, oh, I read this and I love hearing it and I appreciate it so much, the love and everything. It'll never be the same. It'll never be this. No, there might not be another guy like me announcing, but there's going to be another announcer, right? It might not bring what I bring, and maybe it'll bring more in other ways. Who knows? So everybody's expendable. Everybody's got the run. Everything comes to an end.
I like how being an announcer is now such a cool thing. I feel like you and your brother definitely have made it that. And I think a lot of kids are striving now, or not a lot, but there's a handful out there who look at what you guys do and go, I want to do that when I'm older. Even, what fight was it at that there was like a 17-year-old announcing, and he looked like kind of like
the Challenger Games.
No.
I feel like, do you think it is? Do you think it's as big now? Because when you look back to, call it like the 50s, 60s, 70s, when radio and like you said, Don Imus and all these, massive icons and titans of sport and
Stern
comedy. Like I can imagine in the earlier late 70s or early 80s, even like a kid in their bedroom with a fake, towel paper roll, like pretending to be Imus or pretending to be, one of these guys.
No
do
question.
you think do you think that's still like that nowadays?
I do, because I see it.
Yeah.
I get tweets and I get emails and I've seen little kids. It's such an honor. Like the dad will put out on Twitter and he's filming his kid who's like 6 years old, who's spinning around and doing my whole main event is time. And there's even one guy, and it happens every big show now. It's Maverick the dog. It's this white dog, right? And a beautiful like mixed breed. And every time I'm announcing, it's like listening to It's Time. and then it'll look at me and wait for me, and it goes, and they always put it on. It's like, if I'm having that effect on dogs and kids, but it's an honor. It's just really cool. So answer your question. Yeah. Cool.
We know you're also good at poker, and we made a joke.
You got some cash? You got some chips?
No chips, just shitty jokes. Do you want to hear it?
Go for it.
Fuck, I think I forgot it. It was so bad, I may have forgotten.
What do you call? What do you call?
Oh yeah. So I was trying to think of. I do this thing where I just do like a play on words, and I was like,
Can we do all of them?
Oh yeah. Well, okay. What would you call Michael if he was trying to deceive players in a poker game?
My brother?
No, sorry, Bruce. What would you call Bruce?
A bluffer.
Nice, Bruce Bluffer.
Yeah, Bruce Bluffer.
Okay. What would you call Bruce if he was the man responsible for getting the male adult film stars ready for a scene?
Bruce Fluffer.
Nice. Okay. What would you call Bruce?
Not an aspiration I have, okay? Let's just clear that up, okay?
Okay, this one doesn't work as well, but like, what would you call Bruce if he was like the part of the exhaust of a car that the smoke comes out of?
Bruce Muffler.
Nice. This dude's perfect. That's awesome. Sorry, George. I'm sorry. Bro, I'm sorry. It's just how my brain works, dude. Nature versus nurture. What do you want to say?
Hey, I hate you guys so much.
I got to get a bottle of
You were
Pride,
perfect. You were perfect, bro. You got those easy, man.
Thank you.
When we're driving for a long amount of time, we play these rhyme games.
Keeps you sharp.
Keeps you sharp. Anyways,
With it.
you're good at poker. You love it.
Yeah.
Were you in any way involved in Molly's game?
Yeah. And I'll tell you why.
You took a shot in the dark there.
I can't believe that worked.
I played in the Molly type games back before Molly had her game, when they weren't quite as big. And I played with the main character in that movie is Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
So I remember one time I was at a game, without mentioning names, except for Toby's.
I was like, wait a second.
So we're at this famous director's house in Hollywood where we would have the game, and we would all start off with like $5,000 in chips and play like 5-10 ante, have a really fun time, whatever the case might be. So we're at this game, and they've been playing for a while, and they got the food and the girl serving and all that stuff, the type of Molly games. And I've been involved in those games for years. Not now, because got to make sure they're legal.
Of course.
Yes, of course. So at this one game, which was a home game, they said, we're going to change it now. You can buy in for whatever you want. So Tobey buys in for $200,000.
Oh my God.
A very famous actor. buys him for $75,000. Joe Francis from Girls Gone Wild was there. He bought him for $75,000. I only brought 10 grand with me, right? So I got the $5,000 in chips on the table. I lose the whole $5,000 on the second hand. So I put in my second bullet, right? And the game just got really big. It was like 25-50 ante, and it started going crazy. I became what they call a nit, where I just played tight, and I wound up winning, my money back and a few extra. But I decided that game was too big because you got to win like you used to, lose like it doesn't bother you. You don't want to play with money you can't afford to lose, right? And I played some big poker games, but I realized the game was getting too big, and you don't win all the time. So I kind of like grew out of that realm. And a lot of those guys went on to play in Molly's Game, which I love that movie. Jessica Chastain, she's one of my favorite actresses.
Yeah.
But that whole life. I even had in 2000, what was it? 2005. I was starting to win, good tournaments. If you look me up on Card Player, you can, like a tennis player, you can put in my name. You see all the money I've won.
You're pretty good.
Yeah, I've got titles and stuff like that. I'm going down to the Bahamas the end of the month for Poker Stars to announce their big tournament, and then it's a $25,000 entry to play the tourney, and the first prize is $4 to $5 million. I can't wait to play that one. Plus, enjoy the Bahamas.
Sick.
So that's my poker excursion coming up.
Not bad.
But I had a poker room at the Luxor Hotel. It was the Bruce Buffer high stakes poker room.
Sick.
There's only 6 people that ever had a poker room named after them in Vegas, I think, and 6 or 7. And I don't know who I fooled, but I had my own poker room back in like 2005. They were selling glasses with my image on it and T-shirts and everything in the store across.
Sick.
It was again, we get back to these memories, these things that you go through in life, and it's just so cool to be part of that kind of stuff.
That's so cool, man.
But poker's like mentally like business, mentally like fighting. You got to know when to be offensive. You got to know when to be defensive. You got to know when to put somebody to a choice. Going all in against somebody in poker is like going in to knock somebody out in boxing, right? Or in fighting. And 2 things are going to happen. You're either going to knock them out or you're going to get knocked out. Okay? Sure. It's knowing when to move and shake. I love the mental similarities. Poker's a mind game, and I like you with your rhyme games. I like
it's so funny.
You gotta know when to
kind of like you with your rhyme game.
And you got to play the player, not the cards.
Yeah.
And when to fold them.
You gotta know when
to fold
them.
I'm the exact opposite of you. I just like to watch the little ball bounce around when I play roulette. I love it. I don't.
You like roulette? That's like the worst odds in the house, except for the black and white bets, red and black bets.
He likes blackjack too, which is obviously the much better and probably close to the best.
But the way that ball clinks, clink, clink, clink.
It's fun. I know it's fun.
And when it lands you a number, it's been one of my most successful games. And
then stick with it.
Yeah,
the win is still mad at us for that one night, dude. They will not give me a room.
What'd you take him down at?
It was like 120,000.
Great.
Like
but I started with like 10.
Yeah, it was.
That's a great get. Great get.
I kept hitting numbers. I put like 1,000 on numbers and just hit all of them.
Rest assured, the wind is not losing sleep for 100.
No, they're not. No, they're not losing sleep. But
they
were comping us
cards.
everything. And what happened was
they don't want you to win.
No, correct. So when you take them big, what they want is they'll bring you back under the assumption that the next time you come back, you're going to lose it all back. He came back and didn't play a hand. He didn't play one time. We were there for 3 nights. He was in the parlor suite or the whatever it's called, and he did not freaking play a single hand.
That's today versus the old days. I've been gambling in Vegas since 1972.
Right.
Okay. When I said not 72, first time I went there was in 72 with my parents. But again, statute of limitations. But I was playing blackjack at 18 years old because my dad was a big blackjack player. So he was a boss player at the Riviera Hotel back then, which is the big hotel from Casino movie and all that type of stuff. But this is back when these guys ran town,
absolutely.
Right? And I'm telling you, it's a different world back then because we would go in and Dad would play, and we would play. But it was all about Dad. But then they call back and fly you in first class, give you the Frank Sinatra suite. They didn't care if you played or not. You'd have Delmonico's and dinners, and if you didn't play, then all of a sudden one day I check in when I was going on my own, and I got this little piece of paper. So you need to play 4 hours, average of $150 a hand to get, and it just ruined my whole attitude.
Because it used to be, just like everything else in life, about relationships, real relationships. Now you're an algorithm. You're a piece of the algorithm.
No, the bean counters came in and took it over.
It's crazy.
But it's a different world back then.
But poker, unlike the other games, is just timeless. Like these LA games that you're talking about, and I don't know how long it's been since you played. We don't have to discuss it. They're all going on.
Everywhere.
And Molly's game is not with Molly, but still very much exists. And the girls are there, and the food is. I mean, it's an LA poker game is a legendary, iconic thing.
My house, I have a room dedicated to poker. I have my own poker room. And before COVID, I would have a game like once every month or two. You know, bring in all my buddies. We'd have a great game. Get the servers, bring in the gourmet food, and just have a Molly's game night.
Yeah.
But that's a home game.
Wait,
That's
is
just a home
that
game.
Yeah.
where does it get illegal?
If you where the illegal part is if you have a game and you rake what they call rake the table,
The rake, yeah.
then you're acting like that's illegal.
casino.
What is rake the table?
Let's say the pot
the house.
happens. The pot happens, and you pull out $50 or 5% or whatever
Percent, yeah.
whatever the house says.
Oh, because you're not
then
running
you're
a business.
You're
Yeah,
treating
it's
it
a
like a
business.
casino.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
Oh, so
Soprano
without
style.
that, if it's just a bunch of boys each betting $100K,
If you have your boys come in, you can play a home game. You can put whatever you want on the table. But
Oh.
if you rake the table, then you're being illegal. You're doing you're
what if they tip you? What if they tip their
tips
dealer?
are well. Obviously, the girls at work usually work on tips, and yeah, tipping's fine.
Wasn't that what happened in Molly's game? When she started hers, it wasn't a rake, and then she started to
Yeah.
rake it, right? And
that's why
how
she got in
ended up getting
trouble.
caught,
That's why she got in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce, you're not married?
No,
Do you have a kid?
I've almost been divorced twice, never married, and looking back, all kidding aside, no, I don't. But I don't have any children of my own. But my partner Kristen in my business, she met an amazing man named Chris, and they got married. And again, got to remember, we're working in a home office. We're together 5 days a week. So she gave birth to her first son, Henry, who's here with me now. And I was honored because she asked me, because we're family. And he's like my family, the sister I never had, is the way I look at her. It's just amazing. She's an amazing woman. So I was honored and asked to be godfather, and I grabbed it.
Oh,
And
no way. Oh,
so-
cool.
And then she gave birth to Rupert, who I consider like my nephew. But I mean, I take great pride in the fact that, you guys can answer. I think I had some effect on you growing up a little bit.
Is that why they were selling me shit outside?
No, but I mean, it's one of the greatest things, the most beautiful things I ever had is my relationship with their mother, Kristen, and their dad, Chris. But the fact that I can take pride in knowing that I helped, I mean, let's put it this way. For the first 2 to 3 years, they're coming to the office every day. Their dad's out at the office working 5 days a week. I'm feeding him, changing an occasional diaper, helping him. I mean, Henry, I have a video of Henry taking his first steps, and he was holding my hand.
Oh, no way. You've been with these kids.
Yeah, this is. I mean, the whole time.
Because when you came in, you introduced them as your boys. And then I was like, oh, I didn't know you had sons.
Well, they could also be, if we got to get down, they
My
got to
boys.
my boys. Yeah,
My boys.
Okay, but that surprises me, actually. I feel like you should be a person to have a kid of your own. I mean, you essentially kind of do, but that just never.
It's the one thing that I regret in my life is that I didn't have, a child to get to my mom and my dad and to have a little, buffer running around. So if you can say if I haven't a regret in my life, but also, I wanted to meet the right woman. So there's kind of a duality there.
And what was the whole? Because these questions always kind of affect me.
And at my age
because-
now, I'm not interested in having a baby now at my age.
Got it. Because I'm 37 now, and so like I'm kind of like in that place where I'm like, shit, I got to pull the trigger soon. And I was always in the same boat of like, oh, I want to find like the perfect setting and the perfect this and the perfect that, but like I don't know. I guess like a part of me kind of is like, yo, I could.
Well, you're saying one thing that I've kind of like maybe that's caused me to lose out a little bit. The word perfect.
Yeah,
It's very hard to find.
it's
perfect,
so hard. You
but
shouldn't
you
even
want to
try.
be happy,
Yeah,
right? Perfection is not always 100% constant. It's something we strive for,
but what stopped you from like getting to the point where you were like happy? Like you talked about your 2.5 Men, Charlie Sheen lifestyle.
That's my joke, yeah.
Okay, but a little bit. I'm sure there's like some truth in it, right? So like, what was your like non-desire or inability to like settle down ever an issue? Like, was that a thing or?
When I started on the pathway at 36, 37 in the sports and entertainment world, I mean, I just started really enjoying everything I was doing, traveling the world and living that lifestyle. And that kind of took me away. Without going into detail, there were a couple of family situations that I really had to pay a lot of attention to be there for my mom and my dad, especially as my dad got older. So I can make all the, I don't call them excuses, but whatever. It just didn't happen.
Does Michael have kids?
Yes. He has 2 sons.
Okay.
One's a tattoo artist, owns his own place, tattooed from head to toe. And the other's a journalist for a Pennsylvania newspaper.
So the Buffer legacy will live on.
It will live on. But, again, the greatest thing in the world would be to have that.
It's not too late, though, or is it?
It's not too late. It's not too late. But then again, you're how old?
27.
Okay, you're 27. The only difference between you and me is 48 years of life. You know, is that right?
No.
No.
A whole Mike
30,
Malak.
38 years of life, which
Oh,
there's no difference in you other than life's experiences. So it's just the path that did not occur. I would have loved it. It would have been great. It would have been great to have that woman in my life to share that with and grow with at the time. But maybe I played a little too much. Maybe I worked a little too hard, whatever the case might be.
I imagine your lifestyle had to affect that in some way. Like, you got to be a tough person to keep up with. You're always on the road, and if you're not on the road, I'm sure you're ADHDing on at home somewhere on businesses or what
Yeah,
you
I'm always
build next. Like, it's
yeah.
it's-
Well, yeah, it's a
But
trade-off.
I know how to relax. I'm a good chill.
Okay.
And
That's important.
It's a trade-off, dude. Like any parent will tell you that more than anything else, like having a kid is a trade. It's an exchange for time. You know what I'm saying? And the time that you've put into your business and building your life and all those amazing experiences and poker games and things that you'll cherish and hold in your soul forever potentially would have been a trade-off for the one thing that you think you're missing. And so that thing could have been something else. You'd be missing something. And so
Whatever the scenario is, it's what it is. You know.
It also has worked out fabulously for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it's all good.
You know, I think there's probably someone in your exact same position who has a far less accomplished resume who has the same wish, you know, but
Yeah.
but maybe they pissed off with their time and energy and you didn't.
Yeah, I very well put. I've always looked for that perfection,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why I say it's not necessarily out there. You know, it is, but it's not.
I'm trying to swing in the other direction at 37. I'm just spraying and praying at this point. I'm gonna get this kid, dude. I don't know who it's gonna be with, but
Yeah,
it's
but
gonna,
if you spray on the wrong fire, you might not like what comes
well, so
from that.
that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pick a little bit better, so like my probability goes up.
Just
you know?
keep a helmet on that soldier and make
Yeah.
your decision.
Keep a
Yeah,
helmet
for
on the
sure.
soldier.
That's so
For
funny.
sure. I heard about those things once. Man. I heard they're great, dude.
No, but again, getting back to Henry and Rupert and my whole relationship, and we're one big, you know, family.
That's
So,
awesome. So you got it. You got it anyways.
At least I got that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So what's next for you, Bruce? Got some stuff coming up. I mean, I know about the bourbon. I know about the It's Time energy.
I brought you a couple gifts.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the gifts. I'd like my gifts now. I'd like to get those now.
Wow.
This bourbon is Puncher's Chance, which is what you're all about.
Yeah. You sent me some of this.
Yeah, so this is we have a 12-year reserve that just came out, a 14-year reserve, single barrel coming out. We've been out for 2 years. We're considered one of the fastest, highest rated bourbons in America.
Sick.
I've won 6 gold medals, 3 for design of the bottle, 3 for the taste, and we just got voted by the Bourbon Spectator as the top 5 best sipping bourbon in America
No way.
at its price range.
Congrats, man.
So I'm very excited. I'm going to show Conor how to do it the proper way. So just basically get it done.
Wow.
Love you, Conor. Just had to give you a little.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
So this is actually a very cool business to be in. I really enjoy it.
How come?
Well, there's a lot of money to be made.
Yeah.
But it's also, I don't back any product unless I believe in it. I was approached by a tequila company and I was approached by a Cachaça rum company out of Brazil.
Nice.
And I didn't like the products and I didn't like the business acumen of the people. So that immediately, they threw a bunch of money at me. I'm like, no, it's not going to work. It's nice to be able to make that choice.
I think that's the most important thing. I think a lot of celebrity influencer, whatever brands fail because the product fucking sucks.
It sucks.
And since you really
I
care,
put my work behind
you
it.
feel it. Yeah.
But that also blends in more with fighting too. Like what that rum is. What are you gonna drink? What are they called? Caipirinhas.
Yeah.
The national
Yeah.
drink of Brazil.
I'll find out when I go to Rio in 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
But anyway, I love the name. But when I drank it, when I tasted it, my partners were behind Campari and Sammy Hager's Cabo Wabo Tequila and Skinny Girl. I'm very successful people.
Sharp.
And I have a distillery in Kentucky. I'm doing this all first class.
Cool.
And the name got me, but when I tasted the sweet nectar of the bourbon gauze, I mean, it's so good.
Yeah.
I brought this. Whether you want to,
I want it. Right
Yo,
now.
imagine
I
if
want
you
some
have done
now,
something with
yeah.
this around their WWE. If I land that one
Lucky
punch.
Puncher's Chance bourbon.
You all, we'll send you an invoice. We just straight off.
And so I'm proud of this, and this is not in competition because you're hydration, right?
Well,
But you're going to be coming out with energy, I'm sure.
well.
We just launched it
Okay, that's cool.
yesterday.
That's cool.
So that's actually blurred out the whole time.
No, please.
That's fine.
No, like you
kidding,
said,
I'm kidding.
Bruce. We're here to amplify.
Yeah.
We're here to amplify. And honestly, we're brand new. So
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I'm not even out in the United States yet.
Oh,
we
where?
test marketed in England. I'm going into 40 countries.
Nice.
We test market in England, and it's selling extremely well.
Amazing.
We're coming here in February or March. It'll be everywhere. But the thing I love about it is that it's all natural, no sugar. The caffeine comes from green coffee beans. You know, it's full of amino acids, vitamin B12s, and the head of Asada, Jeff Nowitzki, he loves it. He's like, you can drink 4 cans of this today and have no crash.
Oh shit!
Like you do.
That, anyways, for Prime, and I'm just relating to Prime because it's what
Who
I
you
can
get
relate
to.
to with that is I think the model that people nowadays are more attracted to.
Yeah.
Better for you.
Health.
Yeah.
Health. And I'm all about health.
Yeah.
You know, so there's different markets to go after. There's the truck driver market that wants all the, you know, the rocket fuel, and then there's the health market.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This I'm very proud of. This is I have a line of toiletries coming out. So you can wake up and wash your body wash, put on the cologne, which this is. It's the It's Time cologne. And open it up and check it out. This is for you.
Damn.
Mike, this is for you.
I'm gonna come home smelling good.
Well,
my girl's gonna say, "Who you trying to impress?" I
This
say,
is
"You,
so
honey."
your girl's gonna love it. Women love this. Trust me.
Me and George are gonna
the
split
buffoon.
this. By the way, me and George are gonna split
Oh,
both
you're
of
gonna
these.
love this, Bruce.
Yeah.
You're good with your products,
It's
man.
very sensual. I wore
Oh, damn! I'm feeling myself right now.
Oh, this is a nice. You want to know one thing I noticed about you? You're damn good at packaging, bro. These are all really freaking sharp packaging.
Well, you remember when you walk in a store, the first thing you can see is the visual. So you want to grab them.
Yeah.
Oh, the parfum.
So this is gonna be everywhere again.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's very sensual.
Makes me want to fuck myself.
Well, you do that enough, so
Winning.
stop.
This is great.
What's cute is like Rupert, I gave him a bottle. It was like, 2 months later, he needs another bottle. I mean, he's putting it on before he goes
He's
to
getting
school.
laid now,
Yeah.
Rupert. Let's go, my guy.
How much are you spraying? Oh, virgin? How much cologne are you putting on?
Hey, he's young. He's spraying a lot, I'm sure.
Oh, he wants us to defend. He dropped it. He dropped it on the ground.
You know when you first got deodorant, like I was probably. What,
Oh, you
12,
wear it
13 years old?
every day. What was yours? What was yours? Do you
Old
remember?
Spice. Old Spice.
You want to know
was
what
mine.
mine was? When I was in high school, Abercrombie and Fitch was the biggest. Was the biggest clothing
way.
and cologne.
Clothing
Both
and
of
cologne.
Them, both of them.
And now I've done commercials for Manscaped. You know,
yeah, we have to.
I was manscaping in my 20s, okay? I mean, guys didn't even know what it was. I thought girls want to look good for me. I want to look good for them.
You're
I mean,
way ahead of your time.
way ahead.
Holy
way
smokes.
ahead.
That skin safe patented
Oh, we talk
technology
Manscaped?
on the Manscaped
Yeah.
is incredible. It is quite literally, I found it at least impossible for myself to cut my penis off with that thing. It is very hard.
Well, you're at your age.
It is great. It's got this
I
like
concur.
porcelain. Yeah, it's amazing.
Rupert's going to kill me. I'm sorry, Rupert. I got to say it. He texted me like about a month ago. He goes, I really could use one of those Manscapes now. so it's like a Christmas thing I gave him. He texted me later that night or the next day. He goes, I feel really fresh.
Yeah,
That's what it is. You know?
sure.
He didn't need it till he started wearing this.
Well, you wake up,
started to matter.
smell like Buff, drink like Buff, get energy, whatever. Buff life.
I love it, dude.
Oh, I'm kidding, guys. I'm just joking around.
This is awesome, dude.
Bruce, that's all I got for you, man.
That's a
Great
lot.
show.
This has been such a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh, it's
you.
a pleasure for me too. An honor too. I really appreciate it.
I'm so excited to
Thanks,
continue watching you bring so much energy to the UFC, and now in a roundabout way, we're partners, sort of. So I'll be seeing you a
Yeah.
lot, and yeah, man. Hopefully, we can do some cool stuff. We're gonna get mad.
No,
creative
let's
with
work
you
on that.
guys.
Let's do it. Let's do it together. And then if there's any chance when you do one of your big Rumble things for one of your bouts, I'll do a one-off.
I would love that.
I'll come
I
in.
would also love that, man. Where can they follow you on social media?
Follow me on Instagram at Bruce Buffer UFC and Twitter Bruce Buffer, and just go to brucebuffer.com. Everything's there.
Love it.
Amazing.
Shout out to your boys in the back. Thanks for coming, guys. And
Boys.
thank you guys for listening to this episode of Impulsive. We love you. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. Peace.